Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to call BS on 2026 F1 season. Lads, this is round one of BS Patrol out on a mission here to make sure that we're going to tell you how it is, okay? And we're not going to go into it way too much just yet, but we're just going to go through in the percentages versus what we're expecting for this year. Now, it's round one, Australia Grand Prix. Guys, so much excitement with this year. It's amazing. And we're going to go through all the rule changes here. And it's hard to know how much BS that people are just losing their minds over right now with all these rule changes. Because if anything has taught us anything in motor racing out throughout the years, whether it's karting or Formula One, the percentages stay the same. The drivers and the teams figure out a way through. The top teams figure out a way through to get around the rules and regulations and not cheat. Okay, I'm not saying that they're cheating. No, but they find a way. And can this year be the year that it shakes it all up? Because the amount of rule changes we've had is outstanding. And I will say this, I hope I'm bloody wrong, because if I'm wrong, we're in for one hell of a year of racing. Let's get into it.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move, he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front, what a move from fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number two.
Peter Walsh. Okay, lads, so we're going to go through the rule changes and exactly what we have in store. Plus, we're going to go into a lap of the track and check out exactly what the most important corner is for them and why. And maybe the cars might not behave exactly the way they want to. Now, we've got new engines, we've got new aerodynamics, we've got new energy systems, new overtaking tools, new cars that are smaller, lighter, more electricity powered than ever before. And if you listen to the hype coming out of the paddock right now, this could be the season that completely reshuffles Formula One, like we just spoke about a second ago. It might be all the same. The rule book has been rewritten for this year. There's no two ways about it. I mean, they just threw everything but the kitchen sink at these rule changes, which is fantastic for us. And the playing field, at least in theory, has been wiped clean. In theory. And when Formula One wipes the slate clean, sometimes that's when some magic can happen. I mean, we even have Adrian Newey struggling right now, where the car's just not where he wants it to be. Now, I don't think Adrian Newey is such a major bluffer that he was 2.7 seconds off the pace in Bahrain for just covering up everything. That would be overkill. You'd be a half a second, maybe a second off. You wouldn't be slowing it down too much to not show and reveal your cards here. So guys, let's start. Okay, so number one on the board. Now we're on F1.com, Formula1.com website, guys. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would highly recommend this website. They are the most legit and honest, okay? Every time I see or I hear a story that, I don't know, Kim Kardashian's going to be driving in Formula One, you know, you'd see it on some stupid blog, and then all of a sudden I go straight to Formula1.com and just to double check everything, lads. Obviously I wouldn't be checking for that, but you know what I mean. It's definitely the best website, guys. They keep it legit. I'd highly recommend it to all people. If you need something fact-checked, this is your website. So, okay, so we're going to basically read from the website here, lads, and let's see. So, we're going to put smaller cars. So, let's see. The dimensions are definitely smaller, right? The difference between the front and rear axle is 200 millimeters shorter than last year, which is a lot, lads. It's a hell of a lot. It might not sound much, but you could have 2 or 3 mil difference and it could change the whole entire car. And when I mean change the whole car, in terms of the balance, So in other words, your grip would be affected. And then, of course, you have to also throw in the engine speed, okay? Because you may, let's say they, where we go? Hang on, let me get my mic straight. So let's say they did not change anything this year in terms of the smaller cars. And McLaren, example, they've got a good engine speed, top speed, with the grip levels that were attached in 2025. So it's how would it come? Hopefully I'm doing a good job here of a comparison. It would be like a boxer having speed and muscle together. You know what I mean? They both can work gel together. Whereas if one's off, the speed might be off, you know what I mean? Or it just doesn't matter. The guy could have great speed but no power, but all of a sudden, well, he's just got nothing in the tank to throw at you. So I hope I'm doing a good job on that, explaining that. But so it's very important to have the balance right. So even 200 mil, which is, I mean, that's like the Earth to the moon change. And to throw a spanner in the works, because it really does, again, talking about balance of the car, we've got lighter cars now. I mean, this is just like the removal of the motor generated unit, right? And they're saying has played a part in being able to lower the weight limit. And smaller cars, tire dimensions, there's been a significant drop in the minimum weight from 800 kilos to 768 kilos. Ladies and gents, you can you can have the difference between being in, Jesus, you can have the difference of being in 5th position to 1st to winning a race with 3 kilos, 2 kilos. I mean, we're talking this amount, and we've got this amount. I mean, guys, what is that? That's 32 kilos. That is a phenomenal change. Now we're looking at the fresh aerodynamics now, lads. So you've got the front and rear wings have been simplified. The wheel covers have been removed, and barge boards included that are designed to direct turbulent airflow from the front wheels inboard. The intent is to reduce outwash, the practice of pushing that turbulent air away from the car, often disturbing the car behind, and improve the ability for cars to follow each other. Well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, that one. So again, that does throw a spanner in the works, lads, in terms of, especially when you go to the high-speed tracks. You've got, you know, Monza, Suzuka, Spa, especially in places like Monza, because you've got low downforce and you just sort of, I wouldn't say coast through the corners, but you don't have to lean very hard in the corners at Monza. So it's insane, man. It's wow. And then we've got the new power units. So they're running on advanced sustainable fuels for the first time. So the V6 turbo hybrid has become a V6 turbo hybrid. Huh? But it's a very different power unit. Gone is the MGUH, a complex and heavy motor. And what are they saying? The battery is now allowed to be recharged with double the previous 4M per lap. And in tandem with the increased electrical power outplays that places a greater emphasis on harvesting that energy. So we did talk about this last week. So guys, it is like, no, this is where I want to talk about the percentages stay the same a lot of the time in Formula 1. In other words, the top teams will find a way through this, where this is the key here. Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, they've all been talking about these new rule changes. And even Verstappen was having a good go there recently. He was like, you know, this is crazy. We're going to have to start slowing down in corners and then to have speed on the straights. You know, he was like, what kind of rinky-dink stuff is this basically driving? Which you kind of see it. But I do think that the Red Bulls and Ferraris and McLarens, unless it's another team, but they'll find a way. They'll find a way where they don't have to lay off in the corners. Okay, the introduction of advanced sustainable fuels. Now, in tandem with the new power units comes a significant change of the fuel that will be used by the teams this year. Now, instead of fuel derived from crude oil or fossil feedstocks, advanced sustainable fuel is one where the molecules have to be extracted from an advanced sustainable feedstock. Now, I'll find out a lot more about this at the moment. I'm not completely up to speed on this one, I have to say. It also has to be a drop-in fuel, meaning they're designed to replace fossil fuels equivalent without requiring any adjustment to the engine. Now, yeah, okay, the fuel can definitely make a difference to your engine speed. No two ways about it. It's hard. It's going to be hard to know. It's going to be hard to know. The real test, lads, will be when they get to Australia this weekend. Plus, comparing the lap times from last year to this year, if it's the same conditions in qualifying. That's what I mean, in qualifying 3. That would be a good indication of how far off or how better it is. I mean, yeah, you've got higher... You've got the cars are going faster this year, but again, you've got lighter cars. You've got this, but then they've got narrower cars, so therefore they're going to be going slower in the corners. So yeah, we're going to have to just come back to that one. So we got straight mode, active aerodynamics. Straight mode is aerodynamic configuration that allows cars to reduce their drag, making them more efficient when accelerating up towards top speed. The rear wing continues to open a gap, just like it did when the drivers used DRS, but now the front wing also opens up too. The uppermost front wing element drops down at the same time the rear wing's top element does. Now, I think that's very cool, lads. I mean, in fact, you'd almost be thinking, why didn't they do this before, especially when they did the back wing? I mean, it makes sense, you know? If you're going to go the whole way, just go the whole way in. And why not get these cars on the limit? Because what you could also find now, we'll see now, but the fact that they're opening up their front wing should technically give them more speed, right? And therefore, if they go too fast up to a corner, they might lose a little bit of balance. So this will be an interesting one. Again, we're going to come back to this one. And the boost, lads. So while there is a rule change in certain ways, it is also an evolution of what was seen previously when it came to energy deployment. Boost refers to a driver being able to deploy additional energy that has been harvested whenever they choose. The boost button is free for use for drivers whenever they wish, in the sense that they can use it as both an overtaking or defensive tool, or simply to gain lap time whenever they see fit. It can be used all at once or spread across the lap, depending when they have the best chance to attack or where they are most vulnerable. Now again, just go back to, you see, I think this is a really interesting one, lads, because this doesn't actually mean that they're going to have an advantage. This could actually work against them. So just like we were talking about with engine speed, if they're going, let's say they're behind a car, guys, okay, and they're tucked up and they're going for the slipstream, right? They're going to gain speed, and then all of a sudden they pull out. Now let's say they're at, Brazil. Just came into my head. Let's say they're going to the first corner in Brazil. Now, I think they're doing, 180, 185 maybe at the end of the straight before they slam on the brakes, okay, and go down the gear, change down gears. What you probably find here, you see, is that if they're doing 180 mile an hour going into a corner, if you get a slipstream, you could possibly do 183, 185, depending on your scenario, okay? Maybe even 1 mile an hour. But that 1 mile an hour, if you brake at the same spot that you brake on every lap without a slipstream, that can off-balance the car. Because again, it makes sense, right? You're going in too quick now into a corner. So it's like, car can't handle it. So again, this is going to be interesting. It's not just going to be about pressing the boost button and hoping for the best and seeing what's going to happen. They're going to have to, like a slipstream, plan it, make sure that they're going to have to slow down a couple of meters beforehand if they do get a top speed. Now, they're experienced enough to know this. but it's not all that what it's made to be seem here. So now we've got new track zones as well, which ties into what we were just speaking about. So what it's saying here is the changes above mean you will see different marker boards around each track compared to previous seasons. Where the DRS board became familiar, there will often now be a board marked SM, straight mode, that defines where a zone starts that the cars can reduce drag. There'll be multiple areas that around the track that these are placed, with 4 on display in Bahrain during pre-season testing, which fine. And on top of that, these are shorter zones for when race control deems there to be low grip conditions. Well, that's fairly self-explanatory. So we're just going to see they'll have their zones and they'll have to just tweak, find out where their strength is, where their weakness is, and then use that button mode to, like I said, attack and defend. Now, obviously, attack is obviously they're going to go for a move down in the inside or the outside to try and get the guy in front. The guy behind, if you're defending, what they mean is, in other words, if you got a guy up your ass and you want to just, gain some or move away from him so he doesn't get you. Now, here's one I think is extremely interesting and fascinating about this. A tweak to the start procedure. So they're saying pre-season testing is not just an opportunity for drivers, but one such area became apparent during the first pre-season test in Bahrain when we saw drivers having to sit for a lot longer at high revs before carrying out a practice start, as they needed to spool up the turbo ready to launch. Now, that could be a problem, lads, for the guys at the back of the grid. Now, if you've got, let's say, example, Oscar Piastri starting pole, he's the first guy to come along on the formation lap, stop on the start finish straight, and wait for the rest of the team, the field to back up and slot into their position, right? So for the guys at the start, or at the top of the grid, they're going to be fine. They should have the time anyway. They should have the time to get the car into position and get it ready. Whereas if you're in last position, if this is going to be a problem for them, they're going to have to actually delay the start. The guy, the flag marshal at the back, is not going to be able to wave his green flag straight away and get the thing going. They're going to have to give the driver some time here because, again, you could have people stalling left, right, centre on the track. So this is another interesting talking point, which we're going to come back to. And qualifying adjustments, lads. Instead of 5 cars being eliminated in Q1, 6 will now drop out at the end. Now, obviously, we've got another team on board, so we've got 22 drivers now instead of the 20. So that makes sense. And then they're saying here, and the same will happen in Q2 when another 6 are unable to progress from that 15-minute segment. And that means Q3 remains as it was in the past, though it is now 13 minutes with the top 10 cars vying for front position on the grid. A bigger budget cap, and let's see, they're saying with so much that is different across all aspects of the car, what was a limit of 135 million for items including under the cost cap last year has been increased to 215 million, adjusted to 170 million English pounds, 199 million euro in the financial regulations, which teams are building and developing the 2026 cars. The power unit cost cap has also been increased from the previous mark of 95 million to 130. That's in dollars for the new power unit regulations. So guys, I mean, you can see they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this to try and jazz up Formula One, to try and make it more exciting for all of us. Look, I'm going to still, at the moment, unfortunately, stand by the golden rule that the percentages are probably going to say the same. And I don't want to be a party pooper. I just don't want people falling into the trap, and get disappointed that, oh man, the racing's the same again. Here we go. They all promised this, they promised that. Because people do get down and depressed about it. It's very understandable, I hope I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, oh boy, are we going to have some racing this year. Okay, lads. So, the Australian track. So guys, it's a pretty cool track. Very scenic, very glamorous. Great start. And it's a good speed. Sorry, it's a good track to find your balance with low speed and medium speed corners. You're not going to find, you don't have high speed. You've got, okay, turn, what is it again? I'm just looking at it's turn 9, beg your pardon. That's a quick part of the track, corners on the track, but they're not high speed. So it's definitely very, very good to get a good balance of medium and slow and medium speed corners. I think definitely the most important corner on the track, turn 6, leading into turn 7. Why? Because at turn 6, you're going through, and then all of a sudden, coming out of turn 6, you're catapulting all the way through 7, down into 8, and you've got that big, long, windy section now. It doesn't look like a actual straight, but guys, it's all fully easy, flat for the drivers, so that's not going to be an issue. So the more speed you can gain, getting out of 6, that's the crucial thing. It's not about how much speed you carry in, it's about getting out, and the quicker you are coming out of turn 6, the faster they will get through 7, 8, and then into 9, followed into 10, and you can pick up momentum as well. So 9 is not as important as 6 and 7, but you can at least, if you do get that run coming out of 6 and 7, you can use that, catapulting it into number 9. So it's going to be awesome, lads. I mean, this year is going to be just class. I think we're all on tender hooks. Predictions, guys. If there ever was a year where I can't predict, and even though I think, again, back to the percentages staying the same, and I think the top teams will find a way through, even though I am going with that, I will still go that there could be different top teams that we haven't seen up at the top for years. I mean, you could have Mercedes back. People are thinking George Russell is doing really well. We don't know yet. They haven't showed us everything yet, lads. You know, you could have Mercedes back on top. You could have Ferrari back on top. Hell, you could have Cadillac. You don't even know. It's so hard to know. It's so hard to know. And if it's anything to go by, the way people are talking about these engine rules, the car rules in general, it's all to play for. Ladies and gents, let's strap ourselves in and let's enjoy this. And we'll speak to you on Monday. I'll be back with the reaction from Australia. Ciao.
Walsh running the Irish crane, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh.